Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's one you all can sing with us when the Saints go marching in.
Jim. You know, I may not like you, but it was never my intention to upset you. I mean, the last thing I would want people to see me as is a troublemaker. So, Jim, I would like to go on record right now and apologize if I upset you. I want to apologize for you being so old. You know, many years ago in your younger day, back when the DWI first started, you weren't that bad as the jobber champion. I mean, you were adequate. I would even go so far as to say you were slightly above average. And actually, to be honest with you, you kind of remind me of an old Brett Favre, a somewhat solid, if not highly overrated quarterback, or in your case, wrestler. And that's not a bad thing. But you see, what you need to understand, Jim, is that while you're like that hillbilly Favre, I, the Kenpo Kid, on the other hand, the heart and soul of the DWI, the DUI and the DFSG, and soon to be the next alpha dog of shenanigans, I represent something more. I represent the Joe Montana of the DUI. And Joe Montana, as everyone knows, was a real quarterback. You see, when I say something, it's going to happen. And it's going to happen flawlessly. Flawless victory. You know what I'm saying. But you see, you on the other hand, just like that hillbilly Favre, you tend to be a bit inconsistent or unreliable. You have as many good matches as bad ones. And sometimes things happen your way, and sometimes you totally screw things up. Similar to how that crybaby Brett Favre throws so many interceptions, basically handing the other team the victory. And just like Brett will never again get a Super Bowl ring or be in another Super Bowl, so too will you never, ever wear the DUI jobber belt again. Because, you see, Jim, ultimately, you're both failures. So much so that you won't even be able to get the job done and lose to me. And speaking of failures, where was your Steelers this year, Jim? I don't even recall seeing that crappy excuse for a football team in the playoffs. But enough about that. Back to the topic at hand, because you see, DUI management has just informed me that the DUI jobber title will be up for grabs next Sunday on the DUI Super Bowl halftime special. And that will be the Kenpo Kid 69, myself, versus you, an overrated, demented Jobber Jim. And while many people may think you're the odds-on favorite to win this whole thing, you had best remember, Jim, that these are the same morons and half-wits who thought the Vikings had any chance at all of going to the Super Bowl. And we all know how that turned out. Because you see, it doesn't matter what these twits in the peanut gallery think. Because I will pawn you, Jim. I will pawn you like a straight noob and lose the match. Much like Brett Favre single-handedly lost this last playoff game for his team to the Saints. So why don't you go find Mr. Favre and go cry with him. Cry with him long and hard. Because this Sunday, two things are for certain, Jim. Two things. The first is that the Saints will go down as the greatest football team of all time and win this year's Super Bowl. And second, and more importantly, the heart and soul of the DWI, the DUI's White Knight, the Cato Lovin Kenpo Kid 69, will walk out as the jobber champion. The greatest jobber champion, in fact, of all time. And there's not a damn thing you or Demented Son can do about it, old-timer. Believe it.